12-week empowerment series from Team Beauty Official, our 12 weeks of Christmas. Thank you to each and every single one of you that has been listening week through week. We've been having amazing, powerful testimonies, powerful speakers who have come on to share their stories. And today is no different. I feel extremely blessed and extremely honored to have been able to create beautiful friendships around the world. And we have an amazing human with us on today's episode. Can you guys believe it is already episode 4, which means there are less than 60 days left before Christmas, which is just mind-boggling to me, knowing that we are so close to the end of the year. With that being said, I want to introduce our amazing speaker for today, somebody who is very near and dear to my heart. She is in Colombia right now. So if you are listening, I mean, drop what you're doing and get ready to listen to this podcast because we are in for a treat. My friend is has been an entrepreneur now for 14 years. She started when she was 24 years old, and before becoming a businesswoman, she was a student studying law. She is a mother to 3 beautiful children, which are now teenagers, 18 years old, 16 years old, and 11 years old. She has an international business today in 4 different countries and 7 states. I mean, is your jaw dropping already? Because I am just like, wow. And, just so honored to be able to have you on the call today. My dear friend, Senior Executive, President Team 20K, Suhaila Toro, all the way from Colombia. Welcome to today's podcast.
Hello. I'm so excited. I can't believe when you texted me and asked me to be here. I've been listening to every single episode, and I'm so happy that we now have Team Beauty in a podcast.
Oh man, it is definitely like something that every single week I end up falling more passionate to do, especially because we get to connect with people like you.
No. You were born to empower all of us. And I include myself because a couple of years ago, it was 2015 that I hang on Team Beauty through some difficult times in my life. And Team Beauty really made a difference in the decisions that I made a difference in the person that hang through the process to be where I am today. So I love Team Beauty, like, maybe like you, like all of the listeners. Team Beauty to me is a life-changing movement. So being here today is really an honor to me.
Thank you so much, Suhaila, for giving your time and for, today, I know you're going to share with us a lot of wisdom and, a lot of beautiful tips. And today's topic is, why is she who she is, right? We have many women who connect to this podcast that are a part of our community, and many women also who are inspired by what we do. And when you see somebody that is successful like you, right, that, has an international business, that is a powerful mother, an amazing wife, you do so many things and wear so many hats, and, to an extreme have so much success at a different level, why is she who she is? And, I feel a lot of the times we have to ask us these questions, like, what are the things that you have had to do in the moments, powerful decisions that make you who you are today? So let's dive in and share with us, a little bit of that background story, and then, we'll get into this topic.
As you were speaking, I was feeling it because I am in the house right now where I was raised. So I came into this house when I was 6 years old, and I left this house when I was 16. to live in the US, which was one of my biggest dreams. But while living in this house, while being 6, 10, 12, I remember I dream big, I dream a lot, like thinking in the bedroom that is upstairs. I can picture myself. I can go back in time and picture myself laying on that bed, looking at the ceiling, dreaming of a life like the one that I have today.
Wow.
So if I have to say something to the listeners, is every single thing that you have been brave enough to dream up until today is because the courage to make it happen is inside of us. So when I went to the US, wasn't easy getting there at 16, no papers. My dream was to be a lawyer. So I started working with a lawyer, of course, for like $8 an hour. And I worked 14 hours, 16 hours. We Latinos know how to do that, right?
Yes.
So I did it and I love it. I love it because it was in my field, it was in my language, it was in my veins. I wanted to be a lawyer. So he helped me to get into law school. And when I found the opportunity, the business opportunity, I was going to law school and I was working because I decided to be a young mom. So I had my son when I was 21. So in the process of going to law school, becoming a mom, getting married, a whole bunch of things happened. But my dreams were always protected in my heart and in my head. So I remember one day getting together with my counselor, like getting a little desperate because I didn't see any advance in my life. And I know many women feel like that at some point, right? And at many points in our life, we feel stuck. We feel like we're not moving forward, like nothing is happening, but we're doing everything that we have to do. So
you went to your counselor at that time.
At that time, I was in that state. So I went to my counselor and I say, listen, I don't have much time. I have 2 more semesters to finish, to graduate, but I have a son that is 3.5 years old. I need to know how long it's gonna take me to earn $100,000 a year so I can buy my son the house that I want. And she looked at me and she said, Suhaila, when you graduate, you have to try to find a job in this place, go up, these levels. She gave me the whole plan, like the marketing plan.
Yeah.
And she said to me, if you do that.
Did she tell you how long that was going to take?
Look at this. She said, if you do that, you'll be earning 100,000. I said, okay, how long can it take me? And she said 10 years. That's when I quit.
Wow. Why did you quit?
Because I wasn't willing. I wasn't willing to wait 10 years to give my children the life that they deserve. So that's another thing that we as women have to sit down one day and say, how long am I going to wait to fulfill this dream? How long are you going to keep waiting for somebody else to make it happen for you? Nobody else is going to make it happen. Nobody's going to come and make your dreams come true. So I decided, I had gone to an opportunity meeting. So I knew what I had. So that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to give a chance to something that I don't know. What if? So because of a what if, I am here today, 14 years later.
Wow. And then you were, how old were you? You were 24 then at that time?
I was 24. I had 2 children at that age. One that was 3.5 and the other one that was 1.5.
Wow, that's powerful. And so you quit that the moment that you knew and understood the time that it was going to take, because you weren't willing to wait that long.
I wasn't going to wait to live the life of my dreams. I wasn't going to wait to show my children that there was a better way of living. Because at that point also, Jerry, I was living off Section 8. I was in a broken marriage, really bad, broken marriage, all type of disrespect that you can imagine. It's not his fault. It's not my fault. I got married when I was 17 and he was 19. So, and really the reason why we got together, why we went to live together was because I didn't have nowhere to go. I was thrown on the streets. So we lived in his car for a week. We ate bread with a gallon of orange juice. That's all we ate for a week until an aunt of him came to pick us up and took us to his house, to her house.
Wow.
Then she gave us an apartment that she had, but it was all damaged. And she said, if you fix it, you can live here for this amount of rent. So we fixed it. I was in Florida. And we lived there for 3 years. I remember walking for an hour and a half to work as a cashier in Kmart because I wanted to be with him, but I was also hurt by my family. So I didn't want to go back with my family, and I didn't want to come back to Colombia because I knew here I wouldn't have the life that I wanted. To me, United States was the country of opportunities, and I was already there.
Mm-hmm. And so you stuck around that.
Mm-hmm. I stayed because to me it was like, I am going to prove them that I didn't make the wrong decision. And then the children came, and it was like the father of my children, mm-hmm. and the husband that I choose. Mm-hmm. You see, and I stayed there for 15 years, but he betrayed me so many times. I think I counted 6. I don't know the other times. He was with other women. He was with other women. But I was already a 20K President's team member the last time that he did it. And that's when I had to look myself in the mirror and say, who am I? Mm-hmm. Who am I? Am I that woman that goes on stages with 30,000 people in extravaganzas, with 3,000 people in LGWs around the world? Or am I this woman that comes into this house and nobody looks at? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I didn't have an answer when I looked at myself in the mirror, and I had the courage to ask, who am I? That's the exercise that I did. I went in front of a mirror, and I looked myself into my eyes, and I say, who am I? And I didn't have an answer. And nothing killed me up until that point more than that. Not knowing who I was. Mm-hmm. And that day I decided to start working in the woman that I wanted to be in all aspects. So after that, I sat on my living room and I started dreaming of the mother that I wanted to be, the future wife that I wanted to be, the daughter that I wanted to be, the sister that I wanted to be, the woman in all aspects. And you guys taught me that. Team Beauty kept talking about the woman that you want to become. It doesn't matter where we come from. It doesn't matter what we have lost, what we have accomplished. You know, it doesn't matter. The past doesn't matter. We can't go back and fix it. But we can take control of our future.
It's so powerful what you're saying. And I'm like listening, and I don't want you to stop talking. But, you know, in the middle of betrayal, you know, in the middle of probably feeling the lowest of low, and also having success, you know, business wise, you said something so key. And it was like, I sat in the middle of my living room and I started to dream. And to me, it's so interesting how you continue to dream, how you continue to stay hopeful in the middle of the chaos, you know, like, why is she who she is? How can you see somebody so powerful as you, so strong as you, so, you know, like, you're a hard worker, you're a seeker of improvement, you know, you're somebody who is always willing to take on a challenge, and you don't give up on yourself, and you, if it's not this way, you know, you're always finding a way. And obviously, you know, it's amazing what you've been able to do up until this point. And, you know, it's like in the middle of that chaos, Suhaila sat in the middle of a living room and started to dream and started to write down, you know, who is she and what do I want to become? And I think that's so important, because what matters is that you don't lose hope. What matters is that you continue to stay faithful, and, you know, that you're connected to an avenue that, you know, pushes you and encourages you to become, you know, that woman. So, tell me, you know, like, strong, courageous, disciplined, consistent, you know, committed. Why is she who she is? And, you know, after that breakthrough, after that, what you might call divorce and, those hardships, why do you think that, you have that within you where you
Mm,
continue to
mm.
move forward?
I'm gonna tell you why, and we all have it, and it's purpose.
Mm.
I always say in Spanish, I don't know if I'm gonna say it correctly in English. You correct
Say it
me.
in Spanish and we'll Spanglish it around here.
I always say in Spanish, nosotros no fuimos escupidos aquí en la tierra. We weren't spit. That's how you say it here
Yeah.
on earth.
Mhm.
We were, each one of us was put in this earth with a purpose.
Mhm.
So as long as we don't let that purpose die, no matter what happens to us, that's the gas that keeps us going. So I believe in my purpose, and I believe that I have a big purpose. And I'm a servant. I love to serve people. I love to help people. I love people. No matter, I don't care if people hate me. You can hate me all you want. For me to hate you, it takes a lot. I love people. I love people. And I love serving. And I hang into that purpose. I continue telling myself, I know I am here for something big. And this is not gonna kill me, and I'm not gonna die here. I'm too young to die here. When I divorced, I was like 33. So I was like, I'm too young to be here. I'm too successful to die here.
What was it? And I'm gonna start speaking Spanish. What was it at that point that you were like, what would you tell yourself that would get you up every single day? Because I can imagine that you were in pain. I can imagine that you were living through a dark time, that, it wasn't easy. And, sometimes, when you're going through all of that, like all the personal development, that you've done goes through the roof, right? Because you're like right in the middle of the fire. But what was it, and what could you tell our listeners, that, are willing, that are seeking, that are, looking to become that woman, right?
Yeah.
The one that they dream about, that they have those dreams still, in a box and, waiting for that little lid to open up. What would you tell them? What would you tell that to Hyla, 33 years old, every single day, in order for her to get up and do something about it?
My why. Having that why there with me. When I started the business, my why were my kids, right? Like taking them out of the Section 8 and giving them the life that they deserve. I fall to a point where I was going to buy used clothes for my children in United States, an immigrant that didn't grow up like that. So to me, when I went to buy those shoes, those pants, those shirts, it broke my heart, because that's not the life that my parents gave me. But I was giving that life to my children, and finding why. And it was because I was being a coward of taking responsibility of my own decisions of my life, because I allowed that husband at that point to make all the decisions. I was weak. I was lazy also, because it's easier for somebody else to take care of the finances. It's easier for somebody else to choose where we're going to live. So life is not easy. And with this, I don't want to sound like, oh, life is hard. No. But when you take responsibility of your life, you can take responsibility of the results. That's the only way. You know where you're going to end up if you have taken care every single step of the way. So at that point in my life, at 33 years old, I had to look at my whys again and let that fire start in me. And I remember this very specific day that my children asked me in that same living room, Mom, what are the vacation next year? Where is the vacation next year? And I say, oh, Cancun, because we had gone to Cancun. And I say, oh, Cancun. And they jump out of the seat and they were like, oh, Mexico. And I looked at them and I was like, yeah, Jerry, I was far, far, far away from qualifying. And it was September. I needed 40,000 volume points. So almost $40,000 in sales before the end of the year. When I saw my children jumping like that, and they were for sure that we were going, they were like, oh no, we qualify already, because we always qualify. But at that point in my life, because of what I was going through, I pay more attention to my pain. I pay more attention to my suffering, and I got distracted. But when I saw my wife jumping like that on that living room, I'm like, I stand up and I say, okay, I am far from qualifying, but if you tell me that you want to go, I grab their hands. We all did like a circle. I grab their hands and I say, if you tell me today that you want to go, mommy is gonna make it happen. And they were like, yes, we want to go. That was 2 weeks before I received a call from the company saying that I was going to get a brand new ID with 0 clients, 0 distributors, and 0 supervisors. So when I got my new ID, I went back to do what I knew, sell and recruit. I have 2 memberships. One is a President's Team member. The other one is a Get Team member that I'm going to make it a President's Team member. So I have 2 President's Team memberships, and nobody can say that they did it for me.
Exactly. I'm here and I'm like, oh my goodness, like just sitting in the living room with your children and looking them in the eye and telling them, you know, for our listeners who, you know, understand the lingo, and for those who don't, you know, just basically telling them that, you know, there's a threshold that we need to meet, and I'm going to do it for you. Right. And I get chills, you know, just thinking right now of my children. They're 8, they're 5 and 3 years old. And, you know, and looking at them and just being able to tell them, like, I am going to make it happen. And that takes a total badass, you know, to be able to get up with courage and with strength, and to look somebody dead in the eye and tell them, like, we're going to move forward and we're going to make it happen. And there's this one thing that comes up to mind, Suhaila, and it's like desperation or inspiration. What's going to make you do it, right? What's going to make you do it? I love it because on episode 3, if you have been listening, right, Brianna mentioned that time waits for nobody. Right. And we're either a victim of our circumstances or a victor. And so why is she who she is? You know, what are some of the characteristics that you believe that you've been able to mold and you know, hold a part of you that, you know, like, I'm successful and I am who I am today because, you know, of these things. For those people listening that you want to start taking action and take a step forward, you know, into your power. Suhaila, what do you think those top 3 characteristics, you know, that any woman needs to hold in order for them to be successful in any area of their life?
I'm going to tell you one thing that I have in my head since you started talking, and is that we Latinas need to learn and understand that familiarity kills everything. When you fall into a comfort zone in any area, relationship, work, spirituality, relationship with your children, when you feel comfortable in one area, you're about to kill it. And that's one thing that I learned through my process, to never again let things be usual, even with my children. And I teach them that. So if we are going to talk about 3 characteristics, I'm going to say number 1, be responsible. Be responsible of everything. Take full responsibility of the good and the bad, even if it's not your fault. Because when you take full responsibility of life, is when you can fix it. Is when you can change it. But if you're always being a victim of life, oh, poor miserable me, who says that? Right? Oh, poor miserable me, why does it have to happen to me? You're never gonna be able to see a bigger picture. And I stopped being a victim when I decided to become an entrepreneur. I stopped being a victim when I decided to go for those vacations even though I was far away from qualifying. I stopped being a victim of the circumstances and the results of my previous actions when I decided to continue with a zero membership after building a 20K presidency membership.
Mhm.
So that's the only way that you can change your life, by being responsible of the good and the bad.
I love that. Take responsibility. Number
Take,
one.
take full responsibility. Okay, so number two.
I'm over here writing notes, okay? I'm like,
Number two, I will say never feel comfortable. Always be in the lookout.
Mhm.
Never feel satisfied. Always be thirsty. Be the student of the room. Always look for the next step, for the information. There's always more. Never feel or think that you grew enough, because when you feel you grew enough is when you need to grow the most. Is when you need to grow the most. So a lot of people ask me, like, how did you become a presidency member in 3 years, a 20K in 40 years, in 4 years, I'm sorry. And it's because I never let my level or my success to get to my head.
Mhm.
Never. To me, working with the people, working with the new, being on the back of the room, always lifting chairs, cleaning, doing whatever it takes for the show to be the show, is what has me here today, 14 years later, passionate, excited, loving what I do. So that's the number two. That's number two.
That's key. That's key right there, especially when you've been maybe a part of a community for a very long time and all of that resonates, right? And it could feel like a routine. Maybe you feel like you've entered a comfort zone, right? You like what you see, you're around the same people, and it's like, don't get comfortable and don't let the current success that you've had be able to dictate your not your current life and also where you're headed, because they always say, and I love that you said that, because they always say, like, if you're not growing, you're dying. It's never I'm stable, everything's okay, everything's like linear. No, like, if it's not growing, it's going down, right? If you're not losing weight, what's happening, right? It's like it's either going up or going down. And I that's a big one, definitely huge nugget. And what would you say would be the third one?
The third one is be strong. Life is gonna throw you against the wall. Life is gonna put you in a corner. Life is gonna take things and people away from you, and you have to be strong. And being strong is not being rude. Being strong is not even showing that you're strong. Being strong is being able to hold it into place when others will let things fall apart.
Yeah, keep it together, girl.
and
keep smiling even if you're crying inside. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but it comes from a place where you believe everything is what it is for a reason. Like, things open for you because they had to open, and things close for you because they had to close. Like, if you live your life trying to force things to be the way that you want them to be always, you're gonna die. You're gonna die of bitterness, you're gonna die of sadness, you're gonna die of people betraying you. People don't betray you. People betray themselves when they lose you. That's it. Be strong, strong, and strong.
Strong and powerful and courageous, and so highlights, it's so amazing, when we get to talk to each other, especially, when we catch up. It's like there's so many things that we want to talk about, and so many things, so many projects that we want to do. Always being able to come together, and when we chat, whether it's been a week or whether it's been months, it's amazing to know that at whatever circumstance or life phase that we're in, we're always willing to go over the hump, right? We're always willing to, take responsibility for what's happened. We're willing to get uncomfortable, and, we have stayed strong. So if you ask yourself and you're listening and you're inspired by Suhaila's story, or by any speaker, that you might hear that is successful, that is inspirational, that question can come into our mind where we ask, like, why is she who she is?
Mm.
And if you are becoming in the process and you've taken the bold step forward of getting uncomfortable to make that decision in your life where you want to change, you want to lose weight, you want to feel better, look better, become an entrepreneur, be your own boss, babe, whatever it is that decision looks for you. So Hyla just described, 3 powerful tips on becoming that woman, that strong, powerful, courageous, inspirational, successful woman. And it doesn't define, Suhaila, I believe, before I give you those last words, it doesn't define, one area of life. I think these are key characteristics and values that you could take on with anything that you want to do in your life. Like, take full responsibility, get out of the comfort zone, like, don't get comfortable, and don't let your success, get to your head, and stay strong regardless of, right, anything at any given moment. So what are those action steps? What are those few words that you want to give, that woman that just started her journey into this transformation experience, that woman that says, I'm resetting my goals before this year ends, I'm getting aligned, I'm getting my mind right. What would you say to her in this process of becoming?
I heard once from Tony Robbins that for something to happen in our life, we have to learn to make decisions. So if you are here and you took this journey of 12 weeks of transformation, you have to make that firm and final decision. I used to be 203 pounds, size 14. And one day I made that decision to change my body. And by changing my body, I changed my mind, my soul. I changed everything in me, my life. So we have to, there has to be a time in our life where we make that final decision of not going back no matter what. So my biggest recommendation to you is put gringolas. How you say that?
Blinders. Put the blinders on.
Put your blinders on, close your eyes, close your ears, and go for that best version of yourself, because you think you're working on your body today, but truly you're working in all the areas of a woman. You're working in your heart, you're working in your spirit, you're working in your mind, you're working in your body. So, and all that, by changing yourself, you're gonna change your life. When I was able to take control of my body, when I was able to take control of my mind, I changed my finances. I changed the way I was living. I moved out of Section 8. I bought my own house in Puerto Rico. I am traveling the world. I'm living 2 months here in Colombia, 1 month in PR, 1 month in US, whatever I want. By changing my body, I change my life. So if I did it, you can do it.
Wow, Suhaila, thank you so much for this valuable time that you've been giving us in this podcast. Episode 4, why is she who she is? I know that I personally, can always take that fresh breath of air, inside of, who we're becoming, and continue to stay strong as entrepreneurs, and as I see you, it's like, we're made for something way bigger than what we believe, and we're just scratching the surface. So thank you for your time. And if you're listening or watching this podcast and you found value, I want you to share, post it on your social media, tag us, and give us those takeaways, because we love to hear your feedback from all of these episodes that we are creating. So thank you so much, and we will see you on our next episode.
Thank you.